Hey there, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well, that you're enjoying your day. Thank you so much for taking time out to check out where I am as far as my June Pan That palette with my Steel in the Light. I've made a lot of progress this past month, but I really feel it's important that I share kind of what's been going on with my palette, because the past couple of weeks I've really been dealing with the problems of collecting eyeshadow palettes. In particular, my Stila shadows, I've really had issues with them cracking, with them flaking, and just being old, on their way out the door kind of shadows. I'm keeping a close watch on them. I'm still working on them, still going, pushing through what I can, because they have not lost their pigmentation. They have not irritated my eyes up to this point, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to push through these shadows because they're just flat out old. When you're dealing with flaking shadows in your collection, it really becomes quite difficult to use them, because every time you softly touch your brush into them, they kick powder everywhere, they ruin your other eyeshadows. It's a hassle to have to constantly repress them because they crack out of your pan. So I have my palettes depotted into the Z palette. I've got my Steel in the Light, my Steel in the No, because they're both, well, they're not quite the same age. I did get my Steel in the No quite a bit later, but I've got some Too Faced shades, some Urban Decay shades, because I'd really like to just see what I can get through before I need to just trash what's left in these palettes. And I'm really thinking about reevaluating where I am with other older shadows in my collection, because like I said, it's one of the pitfalls of collecting makeup. And it's a good thing because it's reinforcing why I need to be project panning right now in terms of my own collection. And it's also it's helping me to stay motivated to not necessarily bring in more eyeshadow. I've done really well to not, pick up palettes and things like that. And, that's just, I've realized that's what I need to do for me right now, because I don't want to deal with old eyeshadow across the board in my collection, because it's very disappointing and discouraging. So just to kind of go through, some of the shadows are going to look like I've made a tremendous amount of progress on them. I've been working really hard, but I will go through as I talk about each shade and tell you the ones that I've had to scrape off those layers from flaking, the ones I've had to repress and deal with the cracking issues and whatnot. So here's where I was previously for my May update as far as my Steel in the Light, kind of my Z palette in general. And then here is where I am now. Like I said, it looks like a ton of progress. It's going to look like huge progress from here on out, but it's because these shadows, they're on their last legs. It's time to say goodbye, but the stubborn part of me wants to pan what I can out of them while they're not irritating my eyes. But it's that realization that it's time for these things to go. So just very quickly, what's gone in the last couple of weeks. Kitten was the first to go. I really didn't have a whole lot of it in May, as in, the same situation with Bliss. So I went on and knocked both of those shadows out. The other shadow I was able to clear out was Luster. I worked really, really hard on it. I missed that shade. It was beautiful. I liked it better than I did Dark Horse from the Urban Decay Naked palette. In fact, it's really kind of shaped my opinion to say, if you're starting off with your first high-end palette, or you're new to makeup, or you're starting off with your first palette in general, Stila is a great brand to reach for, because the shadows are pigmented enough, but they're light enough that you're probably going to be pretty happy with any combination that you come up with, and have it be daytime appropriate, have it be nighttime appropriate, but still experience darker shades that may be out of your comfort zone, like with Night Sky, with Luster, with Ebony, and whatnot. So this is now gone. The last bit of it cracked out of the pan. It was very disappointing, but that's life. I'm continuing to set my MAC Black Chalk Fluid line with Ebony. It has had to be repressed, so this is where I currently am. It's probably going to be a couple months worth of work still ahead of me, but I'm going to see where I'm going with it. And then as far as Steel in the No palette, you're going to notice a lot of changes down here. The first shade that went was Air. This was this white matte shade. I had to repress it back in May because I did go through it quickly because I love to use it as a brow bone highlight and also as a face highlight. So that one is done. I've moved back into the Too Faced Velveteen Bunny from the original Matte Eyes palette. I'm really enjoying the shade. It's kind of getting me back in the groove with panning Too Faced shadows before taking on the chocolate bar. I'm having a lot of fun with it, with this particular shade, but like I said, it's keeping me in this old eyeshadow and in the palette. So Air is gone. The other color that I used very quickly was Desert. I didn't have a whole lot of it, so I mixed it with Clay right here. These two together gave me a very similar shade to Bliss. So Clay right here, I've hit pan already, but it's one of the shadows that I had to scrape off the top layer because it was flaking horribly. So like I said, I'm keeping an eye on it. Haha, no pun intended. But you know, it's one of those shades that I'm trying to get through. It works really well as a transition shade in my crease area, but you know, I'm going to use what I can of it. I'm still continuing to use Earth to fill in my brows, but this is another one that is cracked horribly. So I've got these two Too Faced shades down here. This one's from the Matte Eyes palette, the original one as well, and the Shadow Bonbons, because they're pretty much the same color when they're swatched and put on the eyes. So I'm gonna do what I can to knock those out. And then I'm currently working on Driftwood right here. This is one of the ones I'm literally able to start kind of from square one with it. It didn't have a whole lot of love, and I haven't had the, excuse me, the old eyeshadow problems that I've had with some of these others. But going in, I did have to scrape off the top layer of Fire, then of Rain, Smoke. I haven't had to touch this Ebony, but I just kind of wanted to preface that. And then I did have to kind of scrape off some of Bubbly up here. I'm loving the palette. I'm really getting a lot of progress in it. As you can see, when I finished Kitten, I went down here to Urban Decay's Flow from the 15th anniversary palette. I hit pan on it. And once I finished Luster, I've gone into the shade Gilded Gold. I've been wearing it all over my lid on top of the Maybelline Color Tattoo and Bad to the Bronze. Figured it'd be another way to knock out a color tattoo. And then I'm layering Clay in my crease and then going through with Driftwood all over, or in my outer third, if you will, and then to line my lower lash line. So I've really been enjoying it, but I'm continuing to be inspired. In fact, I have several get ready with me's that I just need to edit and get uploaded, because one of them was kind of my inspired take on the Peanut Butter palette from Too Faced with the shades I have in here. And then I have another one inspired by the Maybelline Eye Studio Quad in Olive Martini. And then another one, the MAC Tribal collection that just came out. There's an eyeshadow quad in there called Call of the Wild. And it's very similar to these palettes, because the number one shade that interested me was the fact that they have a white gold. I mean, Bubbly is a little bit more gold than the shade they have in there, but I figured close enough. Then they also paired a matte charcoal color, so I figured Smoke would be perfect with that. There's a coral shade, a shimmery coral if you have one in your collection, and then a matte white. So I figured with Velveteen Bunny, the gold, the Smoke shade. Actually, let me just pull out my Too Faced Sugar Pop palette. Looks like this. The shade Macaron. It's a little bit more orange than that shade in the MAC palette, but kind of a similar feel to this. I filmed a Get Ready With Me that I need to post, but it's going to be the look that I'm kind of reaching for this fall, because I really kind of like the gold and the gray together. And so it's not something I would have thought to put together, but when I saw that matte quad, I was like, why not? And it's actually a combination I really enjoy. So that's pretty much where I am. I'm continuing to make progress with Velveteen Bunny. You know, and like I said, I'm going to keep working on what I can out of the palette before I just need to, you know, step away from it and throw it away. But I don't know, it's very discouraging to see that. So like I said, it's one of the pitfalls of having a lot of eyeshadow. It's more incentive to rotate your stuff, not bring in a whole lot of new, because otherwise it's a lot of this across the board, and a lot of money that kind of goes down the drain, if you will. So that's about it. Like I said, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. I wish you all the best in your panning. I hope that you're having a blast with your palettes, and that you're having a wonderful summer vacation. I know it's been crazy busy around here, but I'm working hard to get those videos edited and uploaded for you, and still keep up with my very busy schedule with all the things I have going on. So that's about it. I look forward to catching up with you very, very soon. See you later.